Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how to send emails from a Django application using SMTP, and we'll also learn how to save a copy of the sent messages in the database. Sending emails is a crucial feature for many web applications, whether it is for user registration, password resets, or notifications. By the end of this tutorial, you will have a clear understanding of how to configure Django for sending emails and to store those emails in your database for future references. Having said that, I have set up my small project. Let me start the server. Okay, the server is running. Let me access it on my localhost so it is displaying contact us. We haven't created forms yet, so let me take you through the project setup. So the first thing I did was to create a virtual environment, then activated that virtual environment. I installed Django, then I created the project. Then inside the project I created the app called form app, and then inside my form test project in settings I included that app, this one, and then configured the templates here, the templates right here, and then created the templates folder, and inside the templates folder I created the base.html. This is the file that I want it to be inherited by other templates, and then I created a contact.html template right here and extended the base.html, and then added this one. So we want our form to be right here. Okay, so that is the project setup so far. The next thing, now we want to create the forms. So inside the app, your app, then let's create forms file. Okay, then let's import forms from Django. And then we also need to create our models, okay, because we are going to store some of the data into our database, so we need to define our models. So let's say class contact Now let's define our fields. We want to have a name, models dot, let's take a character field. Let's define our max length, say to 55. Then we need to have a subject, models, this one as well takes character fields. Then define our max length to 55. Next one, let's have an email. This will have email field, so it will be models dot email field. Okay, and then we need to have a message. This one will take a text field, models dot text field. And then let's do you define our string method self, and we want to return the name, so return self.name. Okay, so basically this is our basic model, and then now let's register this model in our admin.py. Save from .models. import contact. Okay, then let me use the decorator to register my model. Admin dot register contact, and then class contact admin dot model admin, using model admin. So let me list display. I want to list all the fields that I want to see in my contact table. So I want to see the name, the email, the subject. We can as well add the time that this contact was created. So let's say created at, and say models dot, let it take date time field, then use auto now add to be true, okay. Now in my admin, I also want to see that, at what time that contact was created. Contact created at, okay. Now it's working. The next thing we want to do, let me stop the server. We need to make migrations. So Python manage.py, make migrations, and then the last thing we need to do is migrate, manage.py migrate. Let me create a super user. So say Python manage.py create super user, we call him admin sniper@gmail.com. You can use your own email, and then let me define my password. You can use your own password. Ensure those passwords match. You can override that. Now let's run the server. Python manage.py run server. Okay. Now let's access our admin interface. So admin, use the credentials that you had used early. You can see the model has been created. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is now implement that form here. Okay. So we have to go back to our forms.py. From our backgrounds, our form will use model form, so we need to import the model that we are going to use. So from .models, from models, import contact. Okay, and then let's create a contact form. So class contact form, and we are using model forms, so it is forms dot model form. Okay, and class meta, and let's define the model that we want to use. model equals to contact. Okay, now let's define the fields that we want to use. Fields, I want to use all the fields except created at all, and let me exclude created at. So basically what I have done here, I've defined the model that I want our form to be created from, which is the contact, and the fields I've defined. I want all the fields from contact model apart from created at. So we shall have the following fields in our form: name, subject, email, and message. This one will not be included. Okay, so the next step, once we have done this, let's go to our views. I had already defined a small view, so let's implement that form. Okay, so let's first of all import the form. So from .forms import contact form. Okay, so let me go here. We want to see if the form is showing up, so I'm just setting for the form. There is no any logic that is being implemented, or we are not processing any data. So form equals to contact form, and then pass into the context dictionary my key will be form, and my value will be form, and then pass it right here. So we have created that. Okay, let me stop the serve, and then okay, we have, do you mean created that? I think we have an error in forms created that. Okay, this should be inside a list. Okay, that way I think it is sorted. Should be inside a list or a tuple. Let me restart again. Yes, so ensure exclude is inside. You put all the fields that you want to exclude from your form inside a list or a tuple. Okay, and ensure tuple. If a tuple has only one field, ensure to add a comma at the end. Okay, next, okay, we have the form. Now the next thing we need to do is now display our form here. So I'm going to use form. Then inside the form, I want to loop all the fields in our form, so I'm going to use a for loop. So say for field in form, let me close the loop, and for field, okay, for field in form and for, and now let's say field dot as field group, not the other way around. Okay, so if I refresh right here, you can see we have our form with the fields that we need, like name, subject, email, message. What we are lacking is the submit button. So let's add that submit button outside for loop. Let's say button, call it submit, and then this button type is submit. Type equals to submit. Okay, so let's Let's try this. We have submit button. Let's try to submit an empty part. You can see it is validating. You have to enter something for you to submit. Okay, we are set. Now the next thing now is we need to configure our SMTP in our Django project. Now let us configure our settings.py. So first let us define our email backend. .mail.backends .smtp. I'm using the SMTP backend .email backend. I'm using is SMTP, that is why I've added SMTP right there. The next, let's define our email host. Email host. Our email host, since I'm using a Gmail, so I'm using Gmail, so Gmail is smtp.gmail.com. You can define your email host. Okay, me comment this out and say replace this with your SMTP host. Replace this with your SMTP host. Okay, and then the next one is let's define a port, email port. So email port. By default, TLS uses 587, so 587. Let me use TLS for secure connection. So let me say email use TLS equals to true. These I use TLS use TLS, not RLS. TLS for secure connection. And then let's define our email host user. Email host user. And then here you will replace this with your own email. So I'm going to replace it with my own email. Say from arube@gmail.com. Okay. Yes. And then lastly, we need to add our email host password. Email host password. So we are going to create app's password in our Gmail. So I will leave this link in the comment section, so ensure you create yours. So in your email you need to create app password. So let's give it a name, say test. I call it test, then create. Give it a second to generate the app. May ask for password. Supply your password, and let's now create the app password. Let's call it test. create, and then the generated app password, copy it as it is, copy it as it is, and then go back to your settings and insert it against email host password. Okay, paste it there. Okay, with all these we are set. To explain about this, okay, email backend specifies the backend to use for sending emails. Here we are using SMTP backend. Okay, we have email host. Email host is an SMTP server to connect to. For Gmail is smtp.gmail.com. okay, and we have email port, the port to connect to onto the SMTP servers. For TLS it is 587 by default. Okay, and then we have email use TLS equals to true. What it means is whether to use TLS. TLS is transport layer security when connecting to SMTP server. Okay, and then we have email host user, that is your email from which emails will be sent, and then we have email host password. This is a password for your email account. Okay, the next thing we need to do is now define our views. Okay, so let me remove this one first. I'm removing this temporarily. We are going to re-add it. Let's now import the packages we are going to use from Django. So the first one is we are going to use email message. So from django.co.mail import email message. Next one, we are going to import render to string from template loader. Okay, so from django.template.loader import render to string. Okay, this one is used to prepare our email. I will explain every line. And the next one, we need to import messages. Okay, from django.contrib import messages. Okay, the next one we need to import, we have imported contact. Next one, let's import sockets. Okay, import socket. Okay, now let's define now let's do the form preparation. So let's say if request dot method equals to post. Okay, so if request dot method equals to post, basically it means the form has been submitted. Okay, it means the form has been submitted, and let's create an instance of that form. Form will be equals to contact, then request dot post. Let's now validate that form. Say if form dot is valid, form dot is valid. If the form is valid, now we save the contact data to the database. So we say contact equals to form dot save. Okay, and then the next part, we need to prepare the email content using HTML, right? So let's say prepare the email using HTML. Okay, so we are going to say template equals to, we are going to use render to string, let's define our template, say email templates dot html, and then let's pass in the fields that we want. Say name, let's pass in the data that we want to get from our template. Name is contact dot name, and then we need the email as well. We'll say contact.email, and then we want the message, say contact.message, right? And then we need now to create the email message itself. So email equals to email message, then we need to pass in the subject. So request dot post, I say subject request dot post dot subject. Let's pass in our template, and then let's get our settings. We'll be setting dot email host user, email host user. Okay, we forgot to import this one. Okay, so let's import it. So to import it, let's say from Django.conf import settings. Okay, now we have our settings. We want to import email host user, this one, email host user. And then let's define the email that we receive, to which the emails will be sent to. So I'm using my own email. And then we want, when the error occurs while sending the email, it should not fail silently, it should throw back the error. So let's say email dot fail silently equals to false. Next thing we need to do is, let's try catch some of the errors. Okay, let's try. Let me do a pass, and then except. Remember, we want to catch a specific error for socket, so except socket dot gai error as e. Okay, we do a pass. If any other error occurs, let's catch them as well. Exception as e. Then let's catch as well that. So we are we are trying to catch errors. Okay, so let's try. First of all, we try to send the email. So email dot send. Okay, if the email is sent successfully, give us the message. So messages dot success, messages dot success request, then the message is your email has been sent successfully. And then we want to redirect the user, return redirect to a contact. So we need to import redirect as well. So use redirect. Okay. And then now let's catch this error. If that error occurs, we want to get a message back. So we will say messages dot error request, then your message say failed to send your email. Please check settings. Please check the settings. This error occurs when you have not configured your settings well. So once we get that, we need to print that error. Okay, so you can say print. Say print. You need to see that error. Print. We're going to format. See error. Then okay. And lastly, if there is any other error that may occur, unexpected error that may occur, we need also to catch it. So we'll say messages dot error and say request unexpected error occurred. Unexpected error occurred. Okay, so else now we need, if it is the first time the user is logging to our system, we need to display the form. So else, if the form is not being submitted, we need to display it. Form equals to contact form. Okay, now passing that that form into our context. Say form as a context text takes a dictionary. So a dictionary normally has a key and a value. So my key is form and the value is form. Then render that context here. Okay, with all this done, let's break down our views. First of all, our views has 5 parts. We have a form handling, we have email preparation, we have sending the email, we have error handling, and we have form rendering. So for form handling, first of all, if the request dot method is equals to post, it means the form has been submitted. Then the form dot contact form request dot post creates a form instance with the submitted data. If form is valid, if the form is valid, checks the form data is valid. Okay, it checks if the form data is valid, and then saves the data to the database. Okay, we are done with form handling. Now we get into email preparation. So render to string renders the email template, with the contact data, which is name, email, and message. Okay, and then email message, this one, email message instance with the subject, okay, template, the sender, and the receiver. Okay, so this is the sender and the receiver. So the receiver is the email of this, your own email is the one that will receive. Okay, and now let's go to the sending email part. So this line here, email.fail silently equals to false, means if there is an error in sending the email, it will not fail silently. Okay, then we try sending that email. Okay, we attempt to send the email. If the email is sent successful, then we get this message and the user is redirected to the contact, right? If socket.gai error is raised, we catch it. Okay, that's why we are using except. We catch it and display an error message indicating a problem with the email settings. Okay, and if any other exception occurs, catch it and display a generic error message. So we can also decide to print this and say error E. Okay, and then now we have two types of exception here. We have two types of exceptions that we have caught. We have the socket GAI error and we have the general one. Okay, this specific error is raised when there is an issue with the network connection. Okay, and we have the general exception. This is raised if there is any other unexpected errors occur. Okay, now the form rendering. If the request is not post, remember we are using this if request is post. If the request is not post, it means the form is being accessed for the first time or there is error. So render the empty form. Okay, now let's try this one. Let's try and see if it's working. Now let me run the server, python manage.py run server. Okay, let's go to the server when it's done. Now let's put in Abel Marube, then subject testing. Let me use my email, say Marube snifer@gmail.com and say hello world, then send. Contact object has no email. Okay, we have our issue here, email 19 on 19. Let's go email. Okay, oh yes, email, misspelled that email. Okay, let's try resubmitting the form again. We don't have email template, so we are going to create this email template. I forgot about that as well. So let's create this email template. Remember we are using it with the render to string. So let me create it right here. We want to structure it. A message comes first. Say message comes first. We want to have a message come first. Okay, then we want to have something like best regards, and then we need to have the email, the name of the sender, and then let's have the email. Okay, so let's try again to resend our form. Give it some email. Okay, it has gone. Let's check in our database if it has saved a copy. Okay, you can see it has saved a lot of them. Okay, let's now open our email, our Gmail that was supposed to receive the sent emails, and see if you can see right here we received that email. If I open that email, you can see the email is hello world, best regards, the name of the sender and the email that sent that message. Okay, so in summary, settings configurations, this one ensures the email backend is ensure that the email backend is correctly set. Okay, form handling processes this one processes the email content, processes the form data and saves it to the database if valid. We have email preparation. Okay, constructs the email content and prepares it for sending. Okay, this one. And then we have error handling, all these ones. Okay, provides a feedback to the user if there is an issue with sending the email, including network related errors. Okay, and guys, and that is it for today's tutorial on sending emails from Django using SMTP and saving a copy of the message into the database. I hope you found this video helpful and that you are now able to implement this feature in your own project. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more tutorials on Django and web development. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.